Also YouTube, NCG here, bringing you, maybe for the last time, a Draco deck profile, or True Kings basically. The issue is that these need to get hit on the ban list. Like, I think the only reason they're still around is because they've never dominated a format. I mean, when they were first around, Zoos were still dominating. Then when Zoos went, these kind of filled in their place. Then Pendulum Magicians came around, and again, Pendulum Magicians were dominating, and this was getting a bit part in the top cut. So they're not like, you know, like with Spirals as well, they're not taking up 75 to 95% of the top cuts. I think that's why they're still hanging around. But I'll be very, very surprised if after the ban list, this deck kind of stays around. Me personally, I'm happy for them to hit like Masterpiece and stuff like that because they're the issue cards. I want them to keep Diagram around because I like playing that in other decks, such as like my 6 Sams and then Dinos if that ever comes back to a thing. So, you know, I'm obviously going to be a bit biased about that, but it will be interesting to see what happens. Regardless, right now, until this ban list hits, if the ban list does not hit between now and Nationals, UK Nationals that is, this could be a very, very high contender because you're also going to have Altergeist as well. And Dracos can actually, you know, they make themselves immune, they can do their damage, they got a lot of draw power and consistency, and then they can play a lot of floodgates. So I'm definitely saying if the ban list does not drop between now and the start of Nationals at the start of June, watch out for this deck. So, enough talking, let's take you through it. In this one we play triple Masterpiece. Here's your boss card, here's your play card, here's your match winner. But then also one of your match winners is Aminawato. Now, Aminawato is very, very powerful. We did do a card discussion on this a while back. It's so good. So you normal summon it. Monsters cannot activate their effects except spirit monsters, so you can't get hand trapped. So the whole idea is you normal summon Aminawato, start playing all your search cards, your draw cards, get into your spell cards for your Dracos, use the additional tribute summon or normal summon. You can then choose to get rid of Aminawato if you've used Card of Demise if you want to. Or you can keep Aminawato on the field, it will bounce back during the end phase after you resolve Card of Demise, meaning you'll always have this in hand, should you want it for your next turn. So, Aminawato can be very, very powerful in this deck. We've also got triple Majesty Maiden, and then we've got single Ignis Heat and single Dariath. You don't have to play Dariath. Since I used to play 2 Majesty and 1 Dariath, I've now put Majesty up to 3, so I very rarely actually go into Dariath. He's just there as another name, another attribute, and then obviously his special summon effect is quite good to give you a monster, but because your monsters are limited anyway, it's not as effective as you might think. But yeah, that's it for the monsters. Very, very tiny lineup, like I said on the monsters. You're just going to be drawing into these 9 times out of 10 anyway, that's what you want. You've then got triple Diagram and triple Terraforming to search it out because it is your main field spell. You get that in your hand and you've got enough to discard and destroy. You're going on for days. Disciples of True Draco Phineas, the Augusto Emerald of the deck. You can place it 2 if you want. I like playing it at 3 because there are the abilities to give yourselves. You want both this and Heritage in your hand with Aminawato because then you can get your additional normal summons and then you can start popping your opponent's back row. So that can be very, very important too. As why we play triple Heritage as well. We've then got triple Pot of Duality. You don't special summon in this deck apart from during your opponent's turn with the trap card or of course with the Rife. So, you know, it can be very, very helpful and useful for you. We've then also got triple Card of Demise. Because you don't play hand traps in this deck, I usually slide the hand traps in. If I think my opponent's going to make me go second, I would take out at least 1 Card of Demise because it can be helpful later game for me. Take out some of my traps, minimise that limitation, and go into hand traps to slow my opponent down. 1 Monarch Stormforth because incredibly powerful card, gets around everything that isn't unaffected by like card effects or specifically spells. So being able to tribute off one of your opponent's monsters and then making your Masterpiece immune by their own effect is really, really cool. We've then got triple Apocalypse, which again, if you don't know, you activate this in damage calculation. Your opponent will not get a replay, which is really, really good. So you can basically negate one of your opponent's attacks using this card. And then when it leaves the field, it destroys a monster as well. So that's cool. Double Monarch's Erupt. I really, really like this card. Tempted to bump it up to 3. It's basically like a skill drain, but you activate this card if you have no cards in your extra deck, which we don't play an extra deck with this one. and control a tribute summon monster. Negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field except tribute summon monsters. During your end phase, if you control no tribute summon monsters, send this card to the graveyard. So the best thing about this is, if you have this set and your opponent goes like evenly matched, and you choose to get rid of all your monsters but keep this, if you chain this to evenly matched, it still lingers while it's face up on the field. So it will linger while it's on the face up field, because technically when you activate it, you did control a tribute summon monster. And then you've got until the end of your turn to get a tribute summon monster on board, or this will get destroyed. So you use this as fodder if you need to, or if you can get a tribute summon monster without using this on the field, your opponent's still locked under a skill drain. We've then got the Solemn Brigade of 1 warning, 1 judgment and 2 strikes, third strikes in the side, and then we finish it off with the 1 True King's Return, because again, being a trap card and the fact it can bring you back your monsters, it constantly gives you consistent fodder. Your opponent doesn't really want to get rid of this because you know, they have to chain to you activating this effect, and then on top of that, it means that they're going to lose one of their monsters, so they have to be very, very careful when playing around this. Anyway, that is it for the Draco deck. Very, very short, very, very sweet, and very, very to the point. It is a very, very powerful deck. Like I said, I'll be very surprised if it lasts long, like lasts much longer, but if it does, I'm telling you now, be wary of this deck at Nationals. It can catch you by surprise, because if everyone starts prepping, you've got Pendulum Magicians that are obviously the it deck at this moment in time, but let's not forget that when UK Nationals come about, we'll have the Saviours of Darkness, with the Vampires, the Brandishes, which they've now been changed, and Skyfangs as well. Then on top of that, you've got all the Flames of Destruction cards as well. So you've got Altergeist, you've got the Troymares, or Nightmares that they're now called. So you've got a lot to play around with. Anyway, I hope this helps. I hope it's giving you a couple of ideas on this version, or maybe adapting your version or anything like that. Yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Until Tuesday next week, guys. See ya.